problem is I didn't have a clue how to run the business. That's probably my biggest challenge, is the relationship between the workshop and the sales department. They're two separate businesses. If I'm not doing anything, it feels like I'm failing. Even if there are no leads coming in, it's like, well, how are we moving it forward? Even when I wake up at 3 in the morning, go to the toilet, go for a pee, and you're like, right, no, you've got to get back to sleep.
Hello and welcome to episode 25 of DealerPod, the podcast where we talk to motor trade industry experts nationwide to find out about their businesses and gain any insights that they may have to help you with your car sales operation. My name's Stephen Douglas. I'm joined as always by Scott Sibley and Martin Carr. Today's podcast is sponsored by DealerWay, the UK's fastest growing platform for motor dealers to trade cars safely and transparently. Today's guest is the owner of Culloden Cars, based in Inverness. I'd love to welcome to the podcast Mr. Craig Walker. Hi, Craig. How are you doing this afternoon, mate? You okay?
Very well, guys. Yeah, thanks very much for the opportunity to chat to you.
Yeah, our pleasure, mate. Great to have you on. So Craig, can you just tell everyone who's listening, who's tuning in, a little bit about yourself, your personal background and how you got to be where you are today in the motor industry?
Yeah, sure. It's been an absolute wild journey. I suppose probably the same as you guys. It's been graft. All I've known from a very young age. From at the moment of 10, I think 10 years old, I had like 4 paper routes. And I suppose, can you remember the catalogues you used to get at home? You used to go to the Freemans or K's and used to get a guy or a woman to come round. And you used to get paid weekly. So believe it or not, and I know this is I'll get into a long story, but that's the moment that kind of clicked for me, that graft, and you get to pay things that you wanted up weekly, you could get the things that you wanted. So from 10 till I was about 16, I eventually had about 4 paper rounds worth every single day of the week. I was earning huge money. Well, to me at that point in time, it was huge money. Just going out selling newspapers to. Can you remember a paper called the Green Final? Can you remember that? No? Right. It was quite big up with us. So what it was is, before CFAX or any of these things, you had to get your results via a paper. So on a Saturday, papers would have been about 5:15 into my hometown. And I used to grab them, go out and then go do my normal round that used to be the people that wanted their newspaper. We had leftovers. I went into the pubs and sold them at the pub door. And they were 25 pence, but everybody used to come out and give you £1. So I made an absolute fortune at those things. So that was my introduction to kind of graft, but I didn't really get on at school. Probably like everybody in the motor trade, just didn't click. So I left at 17 and joined the post office to be a postie. And I was there till I was about 19. But I always wanted more. And that's where the entrepreneurial side kind of came in. I wanted to have my own business. So I thought, right, I'm going to do it. It's like a 10 grand loan from a company called Egg. Don't know if you can remember them.
Oh, yes, I actually do.
Yeah. 10 grand for them. And I go, right, I'm going to start my own car parts business it was a franchise called Car that I put money into, and I had my own shop. The problem is I didn't have a clue how to run the business. I did all that, not having a clue what to do. And I went belly up, but pretty much 2 years later. And I came out with nothing. I had a house at that point in time. I had to sell it, the whole lot. And that was my introduction to car motors. I then went round the whole of Inverness asking them if they would work for nothing. If I was good, take me on. If I was rubbish, get rid of me. And only one company came back to me, and that was Rover. And they took me on, and I was there ever since. Started off as a trainee and kind of worked my way up to eventually general sales manager of the local motor group here called McRae & Dick, who then got taken over by Parks Motor Group.
Yeah.
I left them in 2018 to join Motonovo as account manager. I fancied the weekends off, and I'll be honest with you, that's, anybody at Motonovo watching this, sorry, that's why I joined. I wanted my weekends off. So it was Monday to Friday, going around the motor dealers, helping them set finance. So I thought it'd be an easy kind of gig. I'll get myself into this. I know the motor industry. I know finance. It couldn't be further from the truth. On the other side of the desk, being an account manager, it's tough. it's tough to then go into help motor dealers and help them self-finance when you've got relationships with other finance providers. So that was a hard shift. So 2018, I was there till I thought, you know what, it was COVID. COVID came about. Well, was it quite COVID? Actually, that's a lie. I was, what was it, 2020? And I thought, I fancy getting back into the motor trade, but I didn't want to go back to a motor group. I thought I could do it myself. And I was going around the other car dealers thinking, yeah, I could do this. I could do it myself. But how do I get into, because I don't have the amount of money to go and buy a dealership or whatever, or start my own, because you need loads of capital. So I was listening to a podcast of a guy, I can't remember his name now, that he said you can go into businesses and put no money down and come out with a business. So I kind of listened to these podcasts and I got close to one of the dealers that I know, a guy called Donnie. And I heard that his business partner wanted to kind of go leave. So I thought, right, well, maybe I could approach him with some sort of deal. That's exactly what I did. I said, look, I'll work for nothing for the first year. We'll go into business if I'm good and get you all your money back in this business because it wasn't doing too well. That I get half the business and I put my name to it. I thought, yes, let's go ahead and do this. Then COVID happened, didn't it? I'd already handed my notice to Motonovo. And then COVID happened. I was like, oh no, too late. It was done. So June 2020, I took the keys to the dealership. Deal done. 6 cars. That's all it was on the forecourt. In the middle of a time when we couldn't even open, if you can remember that. Nobody could open, couldn't allow to trade. But that's when I decided, no, we could do this. Did WhatsApps and all the rest of it and delivering cars to people's doors. And that was the start of Top Car Inverness. And we did incredibly well from there. So from June 2020 till, I think, October 22, we built up an incredible business at Top Car Inverness. In Inverness, we did about 30 cars a month. It was doing really well. We eventually bought our own workshop across the road called Top Car Services, which we've still got today. And then Donnie said he wanted to retire, and that was Culloden Cars. And he said, look, do you want to do the same sort of thing again? And I went, yeah. And I thought at that time, I'll have 2 businesses. It'd be great. I'll have Top Car Inverness and Culloden. But it was too difficult to run 2. And it was just impossible for me to be in 2 places at the same time. So I closed Top Car Inverness, moved all the staff stock up to Culloden, where we are now. We've got a site that's probably about, just short of a hectare. It's I've got about 45 cars on it now. We're selling around 60 cars a month. Last year we did 718 cars. Looking at now, turnover 10 million. It's phenomenal. The growth that we've gone from nothing in Top Car Inverness, 6 cars, to we've got a staff of 16 between the workshop and here now. It's been a wild journey. So yeah, that's my journey, really, to be fair.
That's amazing. So in such a short time from 6 cars to that's it's incredible, really. So you actually worked for him for a year for nothing.
Yeah,
and
not a year.
Well,
a month. I worked for a month.
A month, right?
A month. Sorry, that was my first getting into car sales. I worked for a month. But for the first part, for Top Car, I worked as an employee. I took a wage, but it was the same wage I was on at Motonovo. So it just worked for a year. But for there, I was running the business day to day, as you would do, buying cars, selling cars, and running it like your own place.
So you only had 6 cars to start with at that time?
Started off with 6 cars. When I came into the place, it was 6 cars. And then what we had to do is turn around those 6 cars. We got a little bit of a stocking loan from Motonovo, and that was the turning point for me, really. So because I was with Motonovo beforehand, I kind of got to stack my own deal, go to central funding, speak to them, and we managed to get an APAC facility with them to help me buy cars. So that really helped.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So one day you could afford to pay your wage at Motonovo. You were getting Motonovo with 6 cars.
It was a challenge. Well, that was the worry. My missus was, she was just, 8 months pregnant. And I said to her, by the way, I'm leaving a very comfortable job. I'm going to start my business. Oh, by the way, COVID's just happened. So it was, it was a challenging time, but the right part, we look back at it now as the right choice, but it was a massive risk. Huge risk. And everybody was saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? But
they say that, don't they? Anyone who's been really successful in business, you've got to take those risks, haven't you? Otherwise, you're always going to sit in the comfort lane.
I'd love to say it was calculated, guys, if I'm honest, but it wasn't. It
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah. So can you explain a little bit more about your business now? So you've got Culloden Cars, which is the retail side of it, and then you've also got obviously the is it still Top Car, isn't it?
Top
So
Car,
so
sorry,
that's like your workshop side. Is it based on the same site then, or is it got no?
No, it's in the centre of the town. So Culloden is on the outskirts of Inverness. So
Right.
it's about 4 miles away from the centre of the town. So we have to do a lot of ferrying back and forth. And as you can imagine, it's very labour intensive when you're doing 50 to 60 cars a month. It's
Yeah.
a challenge. It's a real challenge.
So you mentioned you've got, did you say 16 staff?
That's right. Between the two sites, yeah.
So how does that break down then?
So probably, I think there's how many in the workshop? There's 10 in the workshop and 6 here with me just now. So 2 sales guys, 2 valeters, and Liz in the accounts. So, and the rest of them all in the workshop. The workshop's the busiest thing because we purchased that workshop as a retail element for me to then bolt onto, and then kind of expanded that workshop from there.
Yeah. And
So,
you got the workshop profitable as well?
Yes, workshop very profitable. I mean, if anything, the retail side of it is now interfering with the what my side. I want my cars to do, and that's a challenge. And we could easily add ramps to it, but no space. I've got absolutely no space now. So I've created a chat. And this part of this journey was I never expected this. I thought Top Car Inverness was me forever, me against the world, and we'll sell loads of cars and it'll be fine. But then outsourcing your cars to another business to do the prep was causing me so much grief, especially for warranty work to come back. He was running his own business, so I could never get my cars in for warranty work. And then so I had to control that element of it. So the place across the road came available, Top Car Services. I an old man called Peter McKenzie was retiring. So I was like, yeah, we have to buy that. We have to. So the profits that we made up in that kind of year and a half allowed me to then sink 60 grand into buying that. So we bought him out, bought the whole building, not the business, not the lease. You bought him out the lease.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just, like you say, okay, Top Car Inverness, across the road is my workshop. Perfect. But then, obviously, Donnie said he's seen the opportunities for me to then buy his business. I'll be honest, for me, a bit naive, thought, yeah, well, that'd be great. I could have the land here at Culloden. It just makes sense to have that. But not knowing that was going to be a challenge for then moving things around. Well, knowing it, I thought, that'll be fine. It's hard. It's hard.
Turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah, it's a challenge. That's probably my biggest challenge is the relationship between the workshop and the sales department. Are 2 separate businesses. And the reason they're 2 separate businesses is because to get somebody to run that business, I did the same thing as myself. A guy that I knew called Liam, kind of knew of him in town. I kind of approached him and said, look, I'm planning to open a business. Would you want to have a chat? And he was like, yeah, no problems at all. We'll have a chat. And I said to him, well, I'll tell you what, do you want to do the same thing as I did with Top Car Inverness? You work for a period of time and work your way into this business, and I'll give you half of it. So, because I needed somebody to operate that business while I was doing the purchasing of Culloden Cars. So it just made sense. So that business takes care of itself. He runs it on a day-to-day basis. I oversee and over the operation side of things, but logistically day-to-day, he's doing the labour work, and he's been fantastic.
So do you, with your prep work, do you invoice that out as an external customer, or do you invoice internally? Yeah. And have you got the plans or the space to implement the prep site at your current site or not?
Yes, we would do. But the problem we've got is the way this site is laid out just now. To do that, you would need to then probably start this whole place again.
Right.
So just the way it's laid out. So I would do that, but because as part of the deferred consideration to buy this place over a period of time, it's chunky. I need him gone first. I need to pay off the previous owner. So whilst, yes, that's in the plans, I've got another 3.5 years yet before I can even think about doing that.
Yeah.
And then think about, well, what does that then look like now? So it's just a case of growing the business slowly here. Top Car Services is at a saturation point now. So yeah, I don't know where I go from here now. It's a real chicken and egg scenario. What do I do? Do I then get another site? But then getting another site in Inverness would be a real challenge. I'm tied into a lease in my current place at Top Car Services. And we've got a plan for Culloden, but it's just too early yet. So we'll just have to ride this bit out just now. And hopefully the market's kind to us.
So the Top Car bit, when you obviously bought the business out, did that come with all its staff?
Yeah, to be fair, there wasn't a huge amount of staff there. It was just myself, one other person, accounts, and a valeter. So
Right.
I moved the woman in accounts over to the workshop because I knew that place was then going to explode. So she was quite comfortable going across there. Sales guy operated Top Car Inverness for a year until I put the plans in place at Culloden to grow it and extend and do the work that I needed to facilitate the extra people. And then the valeter then and the salesman came up with me a year later. We closed the site at Top Car Inverness, got out the lease, and just carried on at Culloden. So it was a bit of a shame to sacrifice the business that I'd grown for that period of time. But then I had no choice. It just didn't make sense to run the two sites. We're just cannibalising ourselves, really, to be fair.
It's interesting the gradual sort of the time period of when you'll fully own the site or own the business, because I bet you there's loads of business up and down the country who operate in the same sort of way, but it's never really talked about much. About when people approach people who are wanting to retire and things like that and gradually take over a business. I mean, it's put you in a good position because you know exactly when you're going to take over. I've got a friend along the road from here who did a similar thing with a leisure business. I mean, what is that person still got an influence on decisions, or
No.
is it purely just left up to you?
Purely just left up to me. So look, there's a fair bit of trust that goes both ways. Because he's still on the bank but doesn't touch anything at all. So I've got full control, day-to-day decisions. Because at the end of the day, it's me who's put my name to this anyway. So yes, okay, there's a stocking facility that we've put names to houses and all the rest of it. But in essence, Donny's been really good. He's let me come in and do their own thing. And because at the end of the day, it's we're paying him every single year a chunk of cash to eventually so we pay him my money that more shares come my way and eventually goes to 100%, and my limited company eventually owns all of it. So
and what would you say is probably be the most challenging part in that?
Probably being aligned with each other is probably the most challenging thing. Probably for him too, because he's had this business from day one. He's built it from scratch to then letting it go for it's a sizable chunk of cash. But
that's a difficult thing to do.
Just to let go for him, I think that's got to be the most difficult thing. Then managing his expectation as well. And I've got my ideas, which are completely different to him. And he's probably seen his baby all of a sudden getting completely changed around and different to the way he would do it. And that's got to be difficult. In fact, he's just at the window now laughing at me. We've still got a good relationship. He comes in and
that's good. Yeah, it's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is good. Look, there's been challenges and there's been things that we've fallen out over, but it's just a difference of opinion more than anything else. But we've always come together on the other side and understood each other's position, which is good, to be fair. I couldn't ask for a better kind of person to buy a business from, to be fair. So, and he's been really trusting. So, he's only saying that because he's got a chunk of cash coming his way.
You mentioned before, Craig, obviously about how you sort of like keeping the two businesses separate and you're invoicing the workout to Culloden Cars when you're getting cars prepped at the prep side of the business. Is that because I'd imagine you're not billing yourself, the rate that you're billing out retail customers. Is that causing some issues somewhere for you? Like, are you finding that, oh, bloody hell, yeah, I need my work done for the cars, but we could be making a little bit more money here if we're, yeah.
Absolutely spot on. Yeah, you're exactly that. It's what do you do with that? You're right. You need to. I'm swallowing up retail hours when really they should be retail hours. But I also need my cars done. So it's again a scenario where yes, we've got an eye on it. We need a prep centre. There's no doubt about it. We need something on site. And
you'll have business partners from both ends going. Giving you because you're sat in the middle trying to get both of it done, and it'd be a very difficult thing to do.
It's managing a relationship with both sides. It's a real challenge. One minute you're trying to get him up, and you're trying to shut him up. It's
How many techs have you got in there, Craig?
We've got 3 techs, an apprentice, and an MOT tester. Liam also jumps in. He's a master tech, so he jumps in too. So probably you'd say 4 and an MOT tester.
And is that 4 ramps plus your MOT lane or 3 ramps?
3 ramps and an MOT lane, yeah.
Right.
Well, we also got another, it's like a small scissor ramp that you can do little bits and pieces on it. You couldn't get any big cars or like small services and things like that. And the apprentice, that's his kind of ramp for learning and whatnot. But you wouldn't say that's a proper productive ramp. He's only year 2, so he's got a long way to go.
We had the same problem for years, and the only thing we cured it for us was we split the workshop in half, and we had what we call the Redgate team, who just prepped Redgate sales cars, and the retail team just did the retail. And that's the only way we split it. We used to do like Friday was Redgate day. We used to do afternoons was Redgate only, and everything just got blended into retail, and all my cars just always ended up at the back.
Yeah.
And that was the only way it really worked. We split it into 2, which worked well for a few years, and then we got the prep centre and grew the business from there. But that seemed to work for us.
Interesting that. Yeah, we need to do something. This month has been the worst. And it's probably not through Liam's fault, to be fair. I mean, we've had huge warranty claims that we've had to deal with, and we had to get them fixed. Mm-hmm. Where MOT tester left, it just didn't work out with him. So we kind of moved part companies. We've got a new guy starting on the 12th. So it's just one of those scenarios. Holidays that we've no choice. We've had to let them go. And this month, Culloden has felt the brunt of that. We've still got, was it 4 days to go at the end of the month or whatever, selling days? We are, what now? We've got 27 to deliver for month end. So, but there's only 2 guys, sales guys, and myself. So it's a lot of cars. We've farmed them out to different places. We're getting MOTs done at one place, another guy fixing them for retests just to get them out for month end. That allows me to then go and get the guys paid. But as you know, cash flow. I'm sitting 40 cars in stock. I'm probably about 10 cars light where I want to be. I've £3.50 in the bank. I can't buy until the cars are actually spent and out to the customer. So, yeah, it's
Donny's on the other side of the glasses. Ask him. Donny's on the other side of the glasses. Get him to lend you a couple of quid.
Some of that money back. Is that all right? I really need that.
Craig, have we bought some cars from you before?
You have. Yeah,
Did you buy Z4?
Z4, black Z4, and a blue X5. You got for me?
Yes, well, we did. They were nice cars then. We sold them straight away. Was that
literally
just because
sell them?
Yeah, just overage for you. It's funny when you move a car to a different place and they just sell straight away.
Yeah, you had the great pleasure of telling me you think you sold them in about 3 days or something.
I think we did, yeah. On the Chucky, all the bits, nice swap.
Yeah, all the bits.
Brilliant.
Doesn't sound like Scott at all.
Yeah. And the fee. Yeah. No, it was really good. Yeah, I thought I had. Yeah, I couldn't remember. Nice cars. Though. Have you got any more?
I don't actually. Can I have a shot at your workshop? That would help.
I was going to say, I mean, I work for a family group who had a similar setup to what you've got with fast fits. They had 6 fast fit sites and they had obviously we had a franchise dealership as well, but the only way it worked was having separate workshops. And I'm just thinking with your top car, is there plans on that side to grow that business as well? Because obviously it is a separate entity.
Yeah,
is there plans to do that in the local area as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could really take that. We've got a good system in how that works now. So I really want to take that and expand that out.
Mm-hmm. Just if it is as profitable as what you're saying, it sounds like a good opportunity.
Yeah, we've captured a little bit of the market. It seems to be doing quite well. I'm looking for those customers that are going to main dealers, but still want that main dealer experience. So they'll pay 80 to 100 quid an hour, not the 195, 200 quid an hour. They want to be a little bit less than that, but still want that experience. We want those customers. So that's how I'm looking to build.
The business we had a fast fit in amongst. So if you looked at fascias, you had a franchise dealer here. You had an alleyway which led you to the back. You had a fast fit, and then you had another franchise dealer, all named exactly the same, but people would still go to the fast fit as well as the main franchise dealers as well. So each workshop was completely full.
It's mental, eh?
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it does work.
Yeah, we definitely need to grow that. That's what we need to. It's fine. In Inverness, it's getting commercial space as a child. I don't know if it's any different for you guys, but
no, it's
horrendous.
Yeah. It's just a challenge, So, every time anything does come up, it just seems to sell straight away, or it's gone already before you even applied. So it's we are looking. We've got somewhere lined up. It's not for straight away, but we need to see if it's going to work because as technicians, it's off-site, it's outside Inverness. It's whether we can get the technicians because everybody wants to work in Inverness where we are. Nobody really wants to work in the satellite areas, and we've seen local areas charging it's 50 grand for a technician outside of Inverness for the year, along with bonus and all the rest of it. And I'm just trying to think, how's that going to work in a smaller area? So the sums need to stack up. But even the commercial property is still the same price as it is in an Inverness. It's not any cheaper. So, yeah.
I was going to say that the geographical problems that you probably have with where you are, do you find that hits you quite hard?
Yeah, definitely. The skill set seems to gravitate to Inverness. The skill set doesn't go out the way, doesn't go into the satellite areas. And you really need that skill set if we're going to go into this world with what we're dealing with the cars and the problems they're having. It's one of those things. Do you still stick with MOTs, brakes, and services, or do you get into that diagnostics where the meat and the bones is? I'm just not sure what to do on that. Is it just keep it fast fit, or do you want to do a little bit of diagnostic work too? But getting those technicians is a difficult fast fit. Yeah, well, maybe that's it.
I think fast fit and keep all the diagnosis people who are any good at that for your retail business for prepping your own cars. That's where you need to be, really. I would have thought.
It seems to be. Yeah, it's fine.
Some jobs we don't take on, from the general public. If it's with just jobs where you just think like massive big engine jobs, which the lads can do, but they're so time consuming and so risky to do. And you could have had loads of fast fit working in between, so we just don't want to work sometimes.
Yeah, we're the same. It's probably my own stuff that's causing the grief. So stuff that goes out from Culloden has a massive issue. I'm dealing with that engine in an RS7 just now, an engine in a Q5, stuff that's gone out within the 3 months. It's then, and you got to fix it.
And do you deliver, Craig? Do you do like national delivery, or do you do not delivery?
Or nothing? I don't know. I just won't go into that world of distance selling. I'm petrified of it. You just leave yourself extremely open, and I can't afford to be left open like that. Some of the bigger main dealers might want to do that and use it as I've sold this amount of vehicles and only a few have gone wrong. I just want to control my customer's experience, and if I can't control it, then I'm sorry, it's not going to be for me. That's just my take on it. I know I'll be losing sales. But
do you get asked the question, do you, if you deliver and you obviously say you don't? So would you think you'd lose some deals because of that? Because of where you
lose deals? I do, but I try and I've got a bit of a unique scenario where I say to them, like, tell you what, fly up. Where's your nearest airport? Now, most people, if I can get from Luton to Manchester, it's fairly inexpensive. So I said, I'll pay for your flight. Come up here in Inverness, enjoy Inverness. I've got different businesses in Inverness that I could put you to. You go for lunch here, go for dinner here, stay here, and then have a great drive home down either Loch Ness or down the A9 through the Gearburns. So I sell it as a weekend away.
Yeah.
So it tends to work quite well. I would never really have too much of a bother, to be fair. Some people don't want to travel that far, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you sell it in the right way, we seem to do okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Going back to obviously how you grew the business, Craig. I suppose the question is, how did you grow the business? What was how did you manage to get from 6 cars up to 40? And what platforms were you using? What did you do differently?
I came in with it was a bunch of transparency. That was the first strategy. And then reviews. I wanted a review from every single customer, good or bad. But I thought I would get it good. I came from the franchise background. You know about CSI, what it takes to go from a customer, what to get it turned around quick, prep work right, the paperwork right, the experience. So I kind of had all that training from before in the franchise world, and you just applied it in your own world. So it was just a case of a lead came in, you're all over it. It was just me anyway, so I'm constantly on my phone, making sure you're replying quickly, WhatsApp, video, just capturing them first, and then engaging them in either WhatsApp or the phone call, and then just being friendly, just being open and honest. And we just really quick. In the local area, it just exploded. The social media was really good, using Facebook, photographs and videos, and just Facebook stories. it just kind of took off, and we got a little bit of a kind of buzz going. And every single penny that we earned, we just put back in the business buying vehicles. So we grew it really quick. With a little bit of APAC funding from Motonovo, that certainly helped. That allowed that we got 100 grand from them, so that allowed me 10 vehicles, 15 vehicles. It really added to the kind of pot. And we've still got a facility with Motonovo just now. They've been fantastic. In fact, if it wasn't for Motonovo, my previous employer, I probably wouldn't be here in all forms of format. They've been a real supporter. I know a lot of people, some might not get on with them, but they've been absolutely brilliant with me, to be fair.
Been brilliant with us.
To be.
Yeah,
they're so good. They're so
13
good.
years we've been with them.
Yeah. No, they've been good. Even in their, there's been complaints and whatnot, but I find if you deal with them in the right way, just make sure they don't go to falls. That's the big thing. Just fix it. There might be a reason. We've only had a couple of them since I've gone on my own, but just deal with them quickly. That's all I can say.
Are you heavy with the finance as well? I take it you use them as your main lender.
Yeah, main lender, but I use iVendi as my finance hub. So it's a multi-lender platform. So every single customer gets a finance quote, regardless, PCP, HP, bang, all the bits. You could, take off deposit, but they get it. And every single customer that walks to the door gets a finance quote. I use that as my compliance hub as well, because they've got their IDD linked to the proposal. Yeah. So it works really well. So if the Motonovo says no, or it comes back with the crossbar from them, I just then send it to wherever they want to with the customer's permission. Where do you want to go to next, Mr. Customer? This is what I suggest. We have a lot of conversation. Is it mid-prime? Is it sub-prime? And I find the right home for it.
Do you use brokers, or are you direct with a lot of lenders, or what?
We do, or go direct. We try to go direct as much as you can, because you want to get that commission as much as you can.
Yeah,
so
you've got
direct deals with all your Udals and Marshalls and whatnot, all your mid-prime people that kind of brokers tend to keep. But sometimes you still have to go direct to the broker. So we've got Evolution, Panel, DSG. Yeah. But I try to keep everybody that's connected in through the iVendi platform, so I can get, I can see that journey going right the way through. So if a lender ever comes back to me, I can say, well, this is what we did, and this was the application, this is the time that we done it. So we've got a digital tracking of that.
And what would you say is your finance penetration on the deals that you're doing?
Right now, this month I'm at 38%. Over the year, I'm at 42%. So it's pretty good. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's,
and are you selling products into these people as well?
That's my challenge. We need more bits, as you say. We spoke about it this month. It's the worst month I've ever had for bits. I'm on a decline. I don't know what's going on. Normally we're pretty good with service plans and warranty and things like that, but no, it's really poor just now. So can't put my finger on it.
What bits are you trying to sell them?
Yeah, pay protection, warranty, and service plans. That's my three.
Yeah, I mean the service plans I'd imagine would be good for you, because obviously you've got them come back yourself. Yeah. That's where we hang our hat. We want service plans. It's the guy on 30 quid. The workshop gets the work on the back of it. But we've got a pending issue with that, because over the next 6 months, we're going to have to find homes for these. So we're talking about that retail work. Where am I going to get my cars? So yes, it's all the self-service plan and the work's going in. But, I've
can't cope with it.
Expand on that. Yeah, can't cope. So we've got a...
Sorry, Craig, just from the outside looking in and tell us if I'm overstepping the line, but do you think that you've got enough staff that sales-wise, could that be an element of why you're not pushing enough products and what have you?
Yeah, I'd probably say it is, yeah. I've nowhere to put them, though. That's my problem. I've probably grown to a point where I've now...
Seems like you're bulging at the seams, yeah.
Absolutely. To be selling 718 cars last year, and we've only got 2 sales, well, me included, so 3 sales guys, or 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a chunk of cars.
It?
Yeah, it's a chunk of cars. And that's where you're spot on. But it's where do I put them? I could put another sales guy here. I'd probably end up being homeless, and I'd maybe flip between the two. But maybe that's the strategy. I'm not quite sure. Mm. And that's part of that where I came into this not knowing that this was going to explode in the way that it has.
Yeah.
So it's now on the point.
Scott's going to laugh at me here, but do you not have space to put a little porter cabin, a couple offices in there?
Or Port Loop?
Yeah, it'll have to be out the back.
Just see, it's a running joke. Obviously, I've we were out of porta cabins, but they're not porta cabins. They're like I like to call them a modular building. That's
Porta
much
cabin.
more professional. It doesn't look like a porta cabin from behind us.
We
No,
passed
it's
one.
just-
Went to Cardiff this week, and we passed one on the back of a wagon. Steven's like, "Ooh, look at that one there. That one's a nice one."
I bet you
We're on the
know as
office.
well.
Bro,
Speaking of Cardiff, Craig, can I ask you a question? Right? If you were in business, you had a business partner, right? And you and your business partner were pals, right? You took someone who worked with you as well, an important member of the team, Alan Morton, and you flew down to Cardiff for a business meeting. And all you were tasked to do with, if your business partner sorted everything else out, he sorted the flights out, he sorted the car hire out, done all that organising.
A lot.
All you were asked to do was to just book the hotel, right? Would you, when your business partner asked you, would you, have we all got a room each? Would you say, yeah, of course we've all got a room each? And then when you get to the hotel, would you then rush off to the desk, right? And sort of like be a bit
you over
like,
the
sort of
desk like this.
see, be a bit coy about it, and then see, right, I've checked in, I've got my room, I'll see you in the bar, and then scurry off, and then leave your business partner and your important member of staff to find out that they're sharing a room.
And then when you ring him, he just goes,
So me and Morton, obviously I'm a snorer and I'm a big lad. Me and Morton, obviously 2 single beds pushed together next to each other.
after an Indians.
After an Indian, we went out for Indians as well. Yeah. And then he was on the floor above with, and I
In a
don't know how
suite.
much of the, he said
Stretching
that
out.
in suite. He said he rolled over 3 times and he still had room.
Still in the bed.
Jacuzzi bar.
When they were on the phone, I says, "I'll have to switch the jacuzzi off." Actually, when we were at the bar, and I got the drinks at the bar, and the barman says, "What room is it?" And I says, "My room doesn't have a number. It's just got the name. It's the Penn Gate Suite." or something like that.
I tell you what, when he came over and got your signature, you were wounded.
Oh,
Yeah,
We're
it
like-
was.
He got us.
Yeah, he got us there. But you know
What,
that
just
what,
forget or what happened there? Like, so, did you just forget or what? Or just like, nah, fucking.
no, he definitely didn't forget. This was all pre-planned.
No,
This was
this is
premeditated.
100%.
it
The
was
woman
an
went-
accident. It was an accident.
No, Scott's at the desk, and the woman went, "A twin room, sir." And he went, No, that's not mine.
The twin was in my name, and I says, swap that over quickly. I says, that's the
Yeah.
other one. She says, I'll do that now. So she swapped it over, and I thought I best leave here now when they find out they're in the little twin. I was going to get them a double. That was my pure evil side. I thought I'd get them a double. But to be fair, you know, in my
We may as
defense,
well,
I
to
did
be
say to
fair.
Stephen, I says, get somebody to book that out. And he went, do you have people book your rooms and your flights and trains? I says, yeah. And he says, you don't do it yourself? And I was like, no. And he says, oh, how about? He says, I'll book the flights. He says, will you book the hotel? And I was like, all right then. So that's where it all went wrong. So if you'd handled the booking,
Who booked your baggage?
they stitched us up on the baggage.
I didn't stitch you up.
You did.
Well, right, Craig, if you're going to
An internal flight.
For
I've never done
one
an
day,
internal
right?
flight
You're
in
not
my
leaving. You're not leaving the country. You're just going for one day on a flight.
In
You
cattle.
stay, right. What would you take with you? Like, you know, change your clothes. So you'd have like a little bag that you put under the seat. No, Scott turns up with a massive suitcase, right?
It's that size.
Louis Vuitton suitcase, pulling it along like this. I'm like, what are you doing?
Somebody
I
else.
says,
pushed
you'll-
it.
I
He
says, you'll
didn't
end
pull
up.
it, he pushed it.
Obviously, Scott's not used to flying with EasyJet, so he doesn't realise that you've got to pay extra for bags and things.
Aye.
You know, he's normally got like a butler coming, you know, with Emirates and showing him to his suite and what have you. So yeah, he didn't understand when we got the front. Me and Morton walked on the plane. He had to pay 50 quid to get his bag on.
The flight
On a 25 quid flight.
Aye, the 25 quid flight is 50 quid.
Aye.
But I thought they could have told us that, like, but I've never done an internal, so we ended up doing that. And yeah, that was a bit of a disaster.
Didn't like the karaoke boy that they just
What
got.
was I say? We
No, I wasn't ready for
we
that.
do now realise that we haven't just got the most gorgeous car
Oh,
salesman in
God's
the
sake.
UK.
That's
We've
him.
now got the
How many
best
times he's gonna bring
singing,
this up?
gorgeous car salesman.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you want to hear him sing? He's got a cracking voice. And to be honest,
From
I've
Highlands.
stopped video. I could actually put the video on now. We'll
No,
go live.
don't put the video on. No.
We were at the bar for a few drinks, mate, and we're going to go live. I said, we'll go live on the book. And we'll
Hey,
have
did
George
it?
singing.
Got
And,
numbers, well, actually.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's got a great
The Lewis
voice. Like,
Capaldi.
yeah, it was really good. And but I started videoing because he wasn't terrible. I thought, oh, there's no point in doing this. It wasn't even
Yeah.
funny. But he was good. But he had loads of little groupies like clapping them in this bar. There's like homeless people off the street.
It was rough, like it was rough.
They're standing there. They were doing like egg dollars and that, and they were clapping them. So, and there was a little blondie who she's probably about 65, and she had her eye on Stephen. Then she was clapping. She says, "Oh, you're great. I love you singing." And I says, "Do you think he's gorgeous as well?" And she went, "No."
Just walked away.
Ruined his night. She went, "No."
I'm going to go back to my single bed in the hotel.
No, he literally walked out the bar after it.
Actually, I don't think I've ever heard you either used to compliment me. I'll save that clip.
Yeah,
Right.
no, he's got a great voice.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Shall we get everyone else's opinions here?
No, we'll leave it where it was. We'll leave it where it was. So yeah, that was a good little trip anyway. So getting back to you, Craig. What would you say has been your biggest challenge in your business? I don't know if you've overcame it or if you've still got that in front of you.
Time, personal time, I would say. I'm just a maniac. It's a drug. I don't know if you guys are the same, but for me, I can't get enough of this. It's just like answering the phone, lead comes in, I want to be all over it. It's a difficult thing to let go. You want your sales guys to do that too, but the out of hours at 5 o'clock when they go home, I'm like, that still needs. I've still got that kind of fear in me, and that's the bit that I'm struggling with, if I'm honest. When they go home, the one guy, MJ, he's pretty good, but if he's then doing something else, what am I going to do? I have to grab that lead, and I suppose that's the bit that my missus and even my wee boy Harris, it's stealing time from them. So that's the bit that I'm continually struggling with, if I'm honest. And I don't know.
A quick message from our sponsors, DealerWay. Attention DealerPod listeners, do you want a better, quicker, more profitable way of trading out of your part exchanges or overage stock? List your cars on DealerWay today and connect with over 2,000 vetted trade buyers actively looking for vehicles. No hidden fees, no hassle. Start your own custom auctions from your desk or the palm of your hand in our game-changing app. Or advertise your stock on quick, easy, buy it now listings to our eager buyers who are waiting to quickly acquire vehicles. What are you waiting for? Join DealerWay today at dealerway.co.uk and streamline your disposals.
The problem is when you run your own business, nobody's ever going to work or care as much as what you do about it. I mean, there is the odd exception, but even then, it's your baby at the end of the day. And I've mentioned on the pod before in the past, I struggle to switch off. I know you do, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just ingrained in you when it's your neck on the line, isn't it?
Yeah. It's if I'm not doing anything, it feels like I'm failing. If that makes sense. I can't be idle. Even if there are no leads coming in, it's like, well, what are you doing? How are we moving it forward? What else are we doing? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that?
Mm-hmm.
And just from the moment I wake up, it's like your mind is constantly going. Even when I wake up at 3 a.m, go to the toilet, go for a pee, and you're like, right, no, you've got to get back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real challenge for me that I'm continually struggling with. In terms of business, it's probably the same as all you guys. Stock. How do you get stock? I see that as a real chat with the amount of cars that we're turning over. I'm putting my name to stuff. I've got traders phoning me. I'm sometimes going to auction just to get as many things as I possibly can, and without really paying too much attention to the things that I am buying, which is not a great way to do business. And back to what you're saying, Stephen, is that time. If I had more people here dealing with the business without having me to step into the weeds, then possibly. But again, I'm probably not in that mind frame because I never started this to morph into what it is. So I'm probably still adapting to how the business needs to be run. If that's a. So
Craig, when it comes to car sourcing, where would you say? You mentioned a couple of auctions and traders. Is there any other outlets where you get your cars from? Or?
Yeah, so we just started our own YouTube channel. It's supposed to go live Sunday night. So
right,
I'm wanting to use that as an element to certainly buy cars. So I'm going to probably build my own, probably the same. There's another car dealer that does that. It's Green Motors or something. The shifted metal guy. Yeah. Again,
Well, funny enough, the shift metal guy Joe, we went and seen him whilst we were in Cardiff. He was just up the road in Barrow, so he's obviously been on the podcast. We drove up there to see Joe for an hour. Good guy Joe, like, and he's done exceptionally well on YouTube. Anyway, he's made a good business just from YouTube.
Made me think that, it made me think, well, are we missing a trick? So, and what made me decide to do it was Auto Trader. I'm not here to bash Auto Trader because they're a major part of what we do as well. But that 8% increase for another year was just like, I need to do something different here. Mm-hmm. So I reduced my package. I think I was on the Ultra package, and I was on, I think it was 40 odd cars. I reduced it down to 30 and took my package down to enhanced. And I used that extra cash to do other things. One of them was the YouTube, the filming. I got a guy coming in. We're doing a bit of radio, motors, other bits and pieces, Google spend and whatnot. So I'm going to see how that turns out.
You're not the only one to say that who's dropped that package and hasn't really noticed an effect on their business. I've seen a comment this morning.
I've seen that comment.
Yeah, you see the one this morning. He was basically saying along the same lines. March was his most profitable. Sorry, I can't remember. It was March was his busiest, and in April was his most profitable in 8 years.
Yeah, it's strange.
Dropping his package down.
He went to start a package from standard.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Did he start? Mm-hmm. Right, okay.
We tried enhanced twice. We dipped in and out. I know we talked about it last time on the last podcast we did, but I just think the standard one that seems to work for us.
Oh, really? Are you on standard, Jen? You're not noticing any difference, really?
The enhanced one we used to on screen. If you look at you click through and all that kind of stuff. There was definitely more, going on screen. But were we selling any more cars? And I would have said no, definitely not. But then, Auto Trader. I mean, I'm a big fan of Auto Traders. I like the system. I like the data. I like the support. So I've always been like a fan, I suppose. But I mean, obviously, I'm not a fan of the costs, but it's one of them. It's like we were saying this on another podcast as well. It's like being on Oxford Street in London. If you want your street, you want to be on, the main street with all the traffic. You got to pay the rent for it. You can be a couple of streets behind and be on like eBay, but you're not going to get the same results. But I think this year was the biggest. I think so many dealers like yourself have either dropped packages or looked at other avenues when the price increased. I think this year more than any year, I would have said it's had a massive big impact.
Yeah, it's strange. I felt indifferent. Okay, I was a bit miffed when it happened before, back in the years previous. But this year, I don't know why, it just felt different to me. That I was like, no, I have to now change something. Like maybe it right in my head that, right, okay, I cannot be putting all my money into an aggregator that controls the whole thing. I need to cut my own path locally. That's hence the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel for me is not to advertise anything big in YouTube. It's to advertise locally that we're going to get vehicles and just a day in the life of what we do at Culloden Cars. And if it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. But I've got to try something different that I feel is going to work, I suppose. And other people are having some success out of it. I've got to try it. I don't know. We'll see.
What's the channel going to be called?
It's just Culloden Cars. Yeah, it's. I've not called it anything kind of dramatic. Maybe that's a feeling on my own part. I might change it. I don't know. But
is it up there yet? So just so I can go on, I'll subscribe.
We've got it on YouTube, but I've just been doing walk around videos where our valet or Jake's been doing it. I'm just going to put it on our website. But that's the only thing that's there now. So it will go live on Sunday night.
Good.
So
I'll click on subscribe and watch it.
Yeah, don't laugh.
It's amazing. It's amazing what interests me. It must interest other people as well. Obviously, I spend my whole life engrossed in the motor trade, going to work, every day being motor trade. And then I get home on a night time and I watch videos about the motor trade. I'm like, what am I doing? Don't even like cars. I don't like cars. I don't like cars and I don't like customers. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Funny, isn't it?
I need this singing career to take off, Scott.
I could be an agent, but I wouldn't be very good, like. Booking hotels.
Yeah. I was going to say, you booked the wrong hotel.
Do you know what it is? That they're complaining, but they had a lovely, cozy night. They never tell you that part, did they? The next one, they were like, oh. Martin said he woke up at 3:00 in the morning. He says he could feel the bed was vibrating a little bit. and Stephen had his hand on his bottom.
Yeah, no,
And, he wondered what was going on. So yeah.
See if you guys were to completely start again, no staff, no stock, just on your own, bang, same as what I did. What would you guys do? What would be your approach?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Find something else.
If I was going to completely start again, I don't know. I think I'd be more trying to keep a lot of profit in cars and not go big and not have a load of staff and just try and keep it really small, but really not too small, but like rather than trying to churn out and churn loads of cars, have big bills around us, or just maybe try and be a bit more nichey and just keep big profit margins across the cars. Take me time and pick the stock right because it's doable. But I would love to have like a place where I could move into and have like maybe 25 to 30 cars and absolutely mint the place and make it look like, real high end. Because I think a lot of the business is moved online now. Most people's business, my business is now on 100% online anyway. I mean, we've got a forecourt and a pitch, but realistically, we just need a handover place somewhere. In an ideal world, would have like a lovely sort of photo bay area and handover area, and we'll just store the cars in storage somewhere, and the customers would just they would only come to site to collect the cars and give them a good experience, and I think I would try and go down that route.
Yeah. What were you, Scott?
Well, location, I think, we've mentioned before on the podcast, our location's tough. But when I first came into motor trade, I didn't know anything about the motor trade, and I picked Renault Clios, and that was my little niche. And I used to just buy and sell Clios. That was Renault Clios, and I would stock.
You done minis as well, didn't you, for a bit?
I moved into minis because what happened was when I like went full time at doing this, we like branded ourselves up as the small car specialist. So I was like Clios, Fiestas, Citroen C1s, Igos, Minis, all just small cars, and that worked. And we only dropped that until we moved the site from Bedlington down to Newcastle, because I thought down Newcastle it was like a different kind of animal, But the Renault Clios, it was a lovely little niche, and back then, we would have like, say, I don't know, I might have 10 or 15 just Renault Clios, where you have one or two adverts on Auto Trader, you've got a few in the background, you sell 4 or 5 off the one ad, you got to know where the parts were, the faults on the cars, you could price them with an inch of the life because you knew what was selling, the colours were selling and all that. So if I was going to start again, I'd probably just have a nice little unit on an industrial estate somewhere. I'd choose a car like a 3 Series BMW. Like maybe maybe a new shape one or something like, or the new, like maybe it's 4-year-old, and just specialize in just one,
and have 25 of them.
Yeah, and if somebody rings you and they say, "Have you got your BMW?" Say, "Yeah, and I've got this one and that one and that one," and you become, the 3 Series BMW, and if that one died out and there was a new popular car came in, maybe move on to that one. But I think if you could, it's a bit like the supermarkets, isn't it? Where they used to fill all the supermarkets with everything, just have one car, one brand, and just have an easy life with it,
If you had a tech and mechanic as well, and all you knew was BMW, you'd be laughing, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah, BMW software
and problems.
Don't do any retail work or anything like that. Just prep your cars. I would sub the valet out. Probably have one salesman who knows BMW product back to front, and just
there's lots to be said for that specialist route. That seems to be the way that the technician and retail after sales world seems to be pushing. Specialists, because it's getting so hard to be multi-franchise and to diagnose some of the issues that we're dealing with, because we sell it. But the technicians now, they're getting so hard to fix. So yeah, that's not a bad shout, that, actually, to be fair.
I think you could brand it up, your website, if you're like a BMW specialist, like just 3 Series, not the whole range. And if somebody landed on your website and seen like 20 or 30 BMW 3 Series, and that was your little catchphrase, and you were the specialist, and they're bouncing around Auto Trader looking at different 3 Series from all different garages, I think you'd pull them in. They would think, "Oh, nice, he knows all about these. He's got so many to choose from." And
it's not just that. Imagine if you advertised, say you had 20 of them, and you just had 20 BMW 3 Series
Mhm.
on Auto Trader,
Mhm.
you could almost dictate the
Fill-
prices
fill-
of them
yeah,
and
Yeah, you would. You'd control it.
dominate the market.
Mhm.
And when someone was looking, because there's always going to be someone looking for a 3 Series BMW, loads of people looking for them daily, you're going to show up all the time, the same garage up, but yeah, we've got to go. You wouldn't not go there.
And when you
No.
get the people there to see the car, what they've looked at on your advert,
You'll
they
sell them.
arrive. Well, they arrive and there's 20 more. And the 9 times out of 10, they probably buy the one for a little bit more money than the one that actually they came for. But that would work. That used to work like that with the Clios with me, and I just stick with the one
stops
brand.
it from looking round as well, doesn't it? Stops it from going elsewhere to see a different
Well, it does,
colour. Or
yeah, because they put the favourites.
Different
And well, there's
specs.
one in like Durham, or there's one in Whitley Bay, and there's one there, and there's one there. But he's got 20. I'm just going to go up there. So I would.
Yeah, he's right.
That was me.
Yeah, different colours and different models, and
It's not just that though. Certain cars have got certain characteristics as well, haven't they?
Mhm.
So like like certain 1 litre cars sound like tappy and sound like hair dryers.
Mhm.
We've had it before where you say to the customer, "Oh, that's just what they like,"
Mhm.
and they're like, "No, we're going to go away and we're going to find other ones."
Mhm.
But if you've got 10 of them, they're all exactly the
Yeah,
same.
you
Then
start them all
that's
up.
what they like.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
Igos and the C1s, they used to always rattle the back boxes on
Yeah,
them. And
they
we used to
did.
say, oh, they all sound like that. And they would do exactly what we just said. Oh, we'll start that one up next to it. And it'd be like, and so on. They'd go, all right then. And then
the
still
clutch
walk
pedal would
away.
be really high.
Yeah.
You could have 25 Ford cars with a petrol cap all rusty, and then you could just say they're all like that.
Yeah.
I still want it
Yeah.
fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. So
good idea.
something like that I would probably do.
What about you, Martin?
I'd look at it totally different from the sales side of things. I'd park that to one side because, like I say, the sales side, really.
Mhm.
I would look at more infrastructure and look at suppliers being next to part suppliers. Because, like you're saying, even though you're quite close to where your top car is, it's still logistics. We were talking to Joe yesterday, and he's 12 minutes away from his prep center, but that's 12 minutes there, 12 minutes back, plus the time in there. That time can get eaten up quite quickly of the day, of just traveling backwards forward. So probably trying the location is probably the key area. I would have said is the driver for getting somewhere right, and then looking at having, like I say, making sure you've got in-house prep, because every single person you talk to, and you're experiencing as well, is the biggest issue is how they prep the vehicles and how quick they can prep the vehicles. We can all sell them, but it's how quick we can get them out the door. Because I've always lived by a car's not sold until it's gone and delivered. Because there's so many things can come into play in that time period of them waiting for the car. Oh, how long is it taking? Well, I want it. And I think society's probably in the last 10, 15 years is getting everything should have been yesterday. The order of Amazon, you can have an Amazon delivery the same day. So the mentality of the consumer has totally changed in the last 15 years, whereby they expect things here and now, or if not, it should have been yesterday. So it's getting the infrastructure right first for me would be the critical part.
Yeah, that 100% was killed me. I'd say you're spot on. I would love to have everything out there prepped, ready to go. So it's your customer comes in, away we go. I'm just chasing my tail. Unfortunately, we're selling too many cars.
Unfortunately, reality kicks in. That's the real word. Is reality kicks in, and it's very difficult to do.
The thing is, though, that's every car dealer's ideal scenario, that, isn't it? And I don't know a car dealer on the planet who's got it perfect, and everyone always moans and whinges, I need cars, I need to buy cars. Can I buy a car? Can I get cars prepped? Oh, the job's flat, we're not selling. Why we're not selling nothing? The kids are off
I've
school.
worked in dealer groups where we've had a body shop around the corner and you're still subbing body work out to other body shops because you get the scenario of what you've got. Well, retail work's more valuable, so why would I'll not name names, but I worked for a main dealer who had a prestige brand. They would have MOTs come in, custom MOTs booked into a main dealer at a premium brand, and they would send them to Ken's Backstreet Garage down in wherever, I'll not name it, to get their MOTs done for 30 quid.
Yeah. Because that manager look at it as
and the customer thinks they're getting their MOT done, and they're not.
We farm our body shop work out as well. I mean, we've got one body shop and the lads, but they're too busy sometimes, and we have to use other body shops.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right, it's hard. It's hard. The motor trade's hard, man.
No one wants to do the internal work because it's not profitable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Expense. That's the true scenario.
Mm-hmm. Unless they're set up for trade, so you get like body shops
Correct.
and they're set up for trade. Whereas
Yeah.
a lot of workshops now with shortage of text rates in workshops and so on, like our Bosch centre, which is mainly it's probably 90% retail. If we get ever, I know like Tony rang once and he wanted a car looked at, and I tried to book it in for him with the lads, and he just says we don't want it. We can fill the diary with retail work. Why do we want to do it for half the rate? There's no point.
Yeah.
So,
Especially with how expensive it's getting to maintain the after sales sort of the technicians and painters, because their costs have gone up massively. So you're effectively working for nothing by doing prep work.
Craig, changing the subject a little bit. Have you dabbled in AI yet? Have you used that in your business at all?
Yeah, it's I mean, probably the same as everybody. Well, you guys, I use ChatGPT consistently. I'm telling it like, please and thank you now. It's getting ridiculous.
Might as well. It's crackers, isn't it?
It says it unlocks something. I was reading the other day. It says if you actually say please and thank yous to it, it unlocks new features in it or something like that.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, I've got it to a point now where when I speak to it, my missus is always shouting down to me, "You speaking to that bloody ChatGPT thing again?" Because it speaks back to me in a Scottish accent. Well, a very broken Scottish accent. Say I and whatever. Okay.
Mine does the same back to us and to me and Geordie. and I pulled it up. It's crazy because you're like pulling a computer up. What are you saying that for? And I pulled it up on it now. I was like, why are you saying I and like go, obviously, in Geordie go home is go yem or gan yem. And so it actually said gan yem. And I was like, what? And I take back and I went, no, don't do that. I said, I don't want that. It's just weird. Like,
how did it say dealer way?
Oh, come on. Apparently, Craig, I'm so broad Geordie that I can't pronounce it. Dealer way. Dealer way. He wants me to pronounce it.
He turns an E into an A.
Yeah.
Dealer. Instead of dealer.
I was dragged up on a council estate. I can't help it. I'm sorry.
He still lives on an estate as well now, so it's like going from home.
We're not going to go there either.
I went to his house to pick him up at the airport and I hadn't been to his house before, and I was chuckling away at myself driving along thinking, because we used to have this joke about him living on this big housing estate. And I said, have you got one of those council lampposts outside your house as well with showing to your bedroom window? I said, I bet you have. He said, I haven't. And when I was driving there the other day, I thought, it'd be great if I see this council lamppost outside. And I got there and there wasn't.
He'll be taking photos of someone there.
Just hoping that there was.
Yeah, I was gutted.
It was his weekend ruined.
AI
Sorry,
thing we were talking about. Yeah. There's this other company. I was down at the car dealer live, I think it was. Available Car and Motorway kind of came together and did some sort of AI kind of thing. And they mentioned a company called Impel. Have you heard of it?
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm flirting with the idea just now, but there's another company called Motor Sales AI that seem to say they do the same sort of thing. What's your guys' experience? I mean, have you involved in any of those guys or what?
We've actually had conversations with Motor Sales AI to do something with DealerWay. It hasn't really came off yet, but I've never actually used the platform or anything, and I've never used Impel's platform. I've been on the website and had a good look at it. But do you know Chic? Did you watch any of the previous pod?
Watched the last one, yeah.
Yeah, so Chic, who's got Motor for You, I know he's had a meeting with this Impel, who are an American company, I'm led to believe, and he said it's fantastic and it's great and he'd probably go for it. However, with the volume of leads that he gets, they charge on like a per is it a per lead or per sort of like conversation thing. He says, and at the moment, he says it's just not cost effective. They want like £3.20 for every conversation that they have with your customers. And he says, and we're getting like thousands of conversations every month. He said it would be fortunes. But I do think I think the Impel one, I think it's aimed at main dealers at the moment. And I think a lot of these big sort of AI software things will be, but I think it's definitely coming in the next 2 or 3 years. I think we're going to be at the point where everyone's going to have like an AI agent chatbot on their website that'll know your stock inside and out, be able to answer any customer's queries, or anything that they can throw at it, really. And I don't think we're too far away from someone picking the phone up, talking, having a full conversation with a customer, and the customer not even knowing that it's a computer. I genuinely think, well, like, I mean, I've seen videos of it, in test. I mean, I think there's a lot of bugs to iron out, increases to iron out, but I think we're 2 or 3 years away from it, me.
I'm going to sign up for them.
Are you going to say, are you spoke to them, have you?
Yeah, 3 months trial, they said. And yeah, the cost was, I think it was over 60 conversations. Once you get over that, it ramps up. You get 60, including your package, and then it goes up accordingly from that. But he was telling me that his available car, that a woman, I can't remember the woman's name, let's call her Anna, for instance. She came in and asked to speak to this chatbot, but she didn't know it was a chatbot. She thought it was, let's just say his name was Dave. I mean, I wanted to give Dave a 5-star review. So what? Didn't have the heart to tell him it was a chatbot, but apparently it's that good. And I think you've got to do a bit of work in behind the scenes for it, a bit like ChatGPT, and kind of put it into your own little style. Yeah, it's got to learn your style, what you want to say. But I think you're spot on. We're at this cusp of, apparently it's going to dip into your back end of your DMS, get your leads, and then push out chats to your leads that come in. If you've closed them off, it'll still keep going up to 56 days afterwards. Yeah. So, it's coming.
It is coming.
Great from a servicing side as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think everyone needs to be on board with it, because I know whenever a new technology sort of comes, you get the older folk all like, oh no, I'm sticking to paper and pen, me kind of thing. But I think people
Facebook,
are going to.
I'm not doing Facebook.
What happened there? Now everyone's talking about launching YouTube channels, and could you imagine 10 years ago, if I told you you were gonna have your own YouTube channel, Craig, you'd have probably laughed at us, would you?
Well, even back in 2015, I was working for Toyota at that point in time. I was just a sales manager. And I was at the start of doing what we're doing now, just posting photos of cars online. That was still new in 2015. It was never really kind of done. And I felt a little bit stupid then doing it. It's like, we're doing this on Facebook. It's a bit silly, But now it's the norm. Here we are now with YouTube channels. Some of these guys have been doing it for years and done really, really well. We're just the start of our journey. But yeah, I think, if you're not doing these sort of things, probably some of these dealers might be left behind.
Yeah, definitely.
Seems to be the biggest shift.
Yeah.
You just got to go with it and embrace it because it's coming. It's we're not going to go backwards, are we? It's just going to go forwards.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting in the next 5 years, when you see some of these electric cars, battery electric vehicles filling our forecourts, because they're coming. That's all we're going to have the opportunity to buy. I'm looking at that now and thinking, I'm just looking outside my forecourt now, what's my forecourt going to look like, especially in the Highlands where we're not.
I was going to say, does that influence you? I mean, have you got do you do many electrics? I would think Highlands, traditionally I'm thinking automatic, diesel, 4x4s.
Yeah, it is very much because you've got to travel anywhere in the Highlands. If you're living in Wick, which is the north of Scotland, to travel down to Inverness, it's a 100-mile round trip. Sorry, almost a 200-mile round trip, 100 miles down and back up through the worst of roads. Beautiful roads, don't get me wrong, but single track. It's an A road, but it's not really an A road. So to do that on an EV, you've got to be sure that that's the infrastructure's there, the other side to work, or you want a car that's going to get you down and back in one charge and not have to worry about it. Tesla does that, so I do okay with Tesla. I've kind of stuck to Model 3s, no more than 20 grand selling retail wise, and I seem to do really, really well from that. Anything over that, I've had a few Model X's and I've sold them, but they've been harder work. I've only got one in my forecourt now, ever since Elon Musk did his own kind of, his kind of doors thing. And that's had an effect. I've seen it. Customers in the forecourt specifically said to me, I wouldn't buy a Tesla for Elon Musk. Really? But but that's conversations. I've had about 3 or 4 conversations with customers specifically. They've not been looking at a Tesla, but they've had a word to say, and that's what they've said. The guy bought the Model X, actually. He wanted it, his wife didn't because of Elon Musk. He managed to convince her. I did actually, to be fair, but
His picture doesn't come up. You just put it on.
I'm like, wow. But we do okay with electric. Like I say, in Inverness, the infrastructure is not quite there. There's plenty of the slow chargers about, but there's only one place where you can fast charge Tesla, and there's 5 of them for the whole of Inverness. The next bit is down in Perth, which is 120 miles away, is the next fast charge. So, you can't tell me an EV is going to be great up here. Yes, it's fine if you're plugging it into your house, do what you need to do. And if you want to virtue in the Wild West, fair enough. But most people want to plug it home, do their thing, back to base, plug it in, and away you go. And that's where we tend to find to do okay with electric. If it's that specific customer, we do okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about you guys?
Scott?
I haven't had a good experience. We sold some, but I don't know. I mean, I sold 3 Teslas a couple of weeks ago. I blew $7,500 on the 3.
Okay.
We've got one of those little ID VW things. Hey?
I remember you saying that on a podcast.
Yeah. It's clear. But I think ours were more like 25, 28 grand, and there would have been a lot of ex-fleet ones coming out now. So I thought, I'm just going to chop these out and just get rid of them now. So I was pleased when we moved them out. But I agree. No, I think like 15, 18, 20 grand, they're good value for money, really. But I mean, I personally don't like them, but that shouldn't be what you buy to stock. But I suppose we'll just have to suck it and see. I'm still not convinced electric's the way forward, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't know.
No, I'm the same. I don't think it's got its place. I think it'll be another fuel type, but I can't see us all going into that. It just, the one size doesn't fit all. You just can't see it in the time frame that we're supposed to be doing it as well.
I think electric customers are new car customers.
Yeah, definitely. I do.
That's what I think. I see more of a used car customer being more traditional, because I mean we seen one yesterday, and it was an MG5, and I remember selling an MG5 a couple of years old, and it was 11 grand. Do you know what I mean? So there are cars that are cheap and cheerful within the electric range, but I think it's just too much fanny on. I mean, I drive an electric car, but it's just too much of a inconvenience sometimes. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to, really.
Great, we're getting on for time a little bit, but I just want to ask you a couple more questions that we haven't really got in. The first one,
sure.
What makes your approach to running your business maybe is a little bit different from a typical dealership? Is there anything?
I'm very hands-on. That's probably everybody else is, but I'm probably a bit of a control freak, so I want to make sure that every single part of the customer, even the sales guys are involved in it, I want to make sure that it's right. So every single morning we're a detailed meeting. Everything has to be spot on. There's a specific process that I stick to every single time. We've got to have I know it's cheesy, but we have a bow at the end of the car where the customer's driving in to see the bow. Every single customer gets that same process. I don't know if I am different than any other car dealer. I'm attentive. So we're over the leads at any given time. If I'm awake, I'm working. So I don't think I'm doing anything dramatically different. We're trying to make it as convenient as possible. So the finance journey with iVendi, that really helps. The seamless way that they do business, that really helps. Dealer Kit, they're fantastic. Their system, I'd be snookered without them. It really does work. We don't use the full package with them. We just use the front end of it, what I call the front end of it. So invoices, put into website, things like that. I don't use it for accounts. I've got another system for that. But I don't think I'm doing anything dramatically different. I think you're just doing the basics consistently well. I think that's the key. Just make sure you're doing that really, really well. Don't try there's a lot of noise out there when we're talking about Impel and things like that. You've got to make sure that some of the noise you're switching off to and just doing that basics well. 7 steps to the sale, meet and greet the customer. Oh, getting my coffee. If it breaks, it fixes it. You fix it. That sort of stuff. And then build your reputation on transparency and trust. I know it sounds such a cliche but that's what I've done. There's nothing fancy.
Just hard work and just consistency over and over.
Yeah, consistently showing up. I'm a big football fan. And I liken this to, I'm a Rangers fan, so don't flame me. But Barry Ferguson is a captain, when he was in his playing days, he was a consistent 8 out of 10 guy. Sometimes he was 9 out of 10. He very rarely dropped down to 5 out of 10. And Rangers just now, there are a lot of 5 out of 10s in that game. Us, I think, as a team here, I think we're consistently 8 out of 10 every single time. And it's just maintaining that level. And my job is to make sure that no one drops below that. So that's pretty much it.
That's good. But on that, then, what's the secret of keeping your team motivated and aligned?
That's a challenge. Play nights out, finding the right staff that want to align with you, I think. Because if you don't have that, I'm a maniac, I know I am. And they put up with a lot for me to make sure that his customer journey is right. But they're fully aligned with that too. We've got a good pay plan here, I think. So we've got the right sales guys. The girl that accounts, Liz, I've worked with her in my previous job. She's a maniac as well. So we kind of align there too. And I think it's just finding the right staff. I'm not here to make them, they're accountable for themselves as well, to be fair. They're pretty much autonomous in some senses. So I can sit back a little bit and make sure that job has been done right. I can trust them. So I don't really need to do too much. But we work hard to play hard. So there's plenty of nights out, plenty of conversations about growth, because they're hungry guys. They want to move on to the next step. Now, I'm not going to be in this chair forever. I've told them that. So I want to be out of this and away from selling and looking at, like you say, expanding maybe the business, the Top Car, this place. What's the future of that? I can't do that when I'm in the weeds. So these guys have got a chance here to kind of step up and get into this position. And that's up to them, really, to be fair.
Craig, if you had any advice, or could you give any advice to someone who was maybe in your position 5 years ago during the COVID time when you took that risk and you went on and said you worked for nothing for a bit for a 6-car operation? Do you have any advice for someone that's wanting or sort of like imagining taking the leap and hasn't done it?
Yeah, just trust your gut. I wish I trusted mine earlier, to be fair, and had the opportunity to do it. You don't need the permission to back yourself. Don't fear the failure. Look, it'll make you stronger than you ever imagined. I know probably part of my failure back in the day has led me to be this, constantly on it. There's a fine line with that. You can't just be a complete nutter. You always need the balance. So yeah, trust your gut. Go for it. Don't second guess yourself.
Yeah, good words. Good words. Craig, you've been a fantastic guest. I really appreciate you coming on to DealerPod, mate, and I wish you all the success and for the future, for your plans, and hopefully we'll get you back on one day to talk about it as well.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Lovely. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks very much, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.